Right. So once again, a very warm welcome. So good morning, everyone. So today we have a scheduled demo class on Entra ID. Right. So let's begin with to discussing about the fundamental part. Right. I hope everyone know that what is Entra ID, why we need it, and what are the prerequisites would be needed, and how the business, not business, and the job or job opportunity point of view, how much important to learn this. Right. Today date is 18/01/2026. So Microsoft Entra ID. So to learn this Entra ID, what are the prerequisites would be needed? I hope everyone has a little experience, right?
Is Active Directory experience required?
Right.
Total-
Most important, on-prem Active Directory is needed. Very good.
Oh, needed. Okay.
What else?
What if we don't have that? Can we still learn?
Yes, they can, but it's recommended to have some basic knowledge that I would help them to uh, why it is needed, why it is important needed now. That is because everything cloud, everything world is moving to the cloud. So another important we would be needed for that is cloud platform called as Azure. So we are talking about Microsoft Entra ID Azure platform, right? Azure platform. So we have that Entra ID, a platform, multiple cloud platform, which we are going to talk about Azure one. So to understand this Entra ID, Microsoft Entra ID, we would need to have some basic prerequisites, basic fundamental topics called Azure, Microsoft Azure, which is cloud platform, and very much needed to understand that on-prem AD. If it doesn't know that is in, if anyone who are going to understand that fresher as a fresher, that is also be fine. But I'll take you through that is in to understand that is in what is on-prem Active Directory and what is Azure. Then we will be discussing on that how important for the Entra ID on today days to learn, and in terms of the job opportunity, in terms of the career point of view, in terms of the package point of view, right? So why Entra ID needed? So when you go back to the on-prem infrastructure, right? So how we are on-prem infrastructure, Active Directory infrastructure is built it, and you know that every business person's or employee point of view, business point of view, this on-prem activity is most important. How and why this on-prem AD is needed? So when you know this concept, then we can easy to manage because it's completely interdependent, and whatever challenges we are facing on on-prem AD, and those challenges are most of the issues are fixed with the help of Entra ID. So what is the definition of the on-prem AD? Why we need a Active Directory? Anyone? And we will talk about in Entra ID what are the topic we are going to talk about. Once you know this concept, then if you have already experience on Active Directory and you are already working on Active Directory and you know that already Microsoft Azure, it's a very much demand and very much needed to understand the Entra ID. And it's a both we are going to discussing on that security plus Entra ID. It's very much needed. So in a career point of view, if you have that is an on-prem AD skill and experience, you should have that is an Azure plus Entra ID. And I would recommend to learn the PowerShell as well. It's a complete package. It's a complete a flow where very much needed for the current requirement. And you would be going to understand the security, right? You are in a Microsoft product, started with your career as administrator, and now you are in on-prem Active Directory with a 2 years, 3 years experience. And it is a demand, it is a mandate to learn the cloud technologies like Azure, and you would be able to know that what are the services are there in Azure. You would be know that is in storage. You would be knowing that networking, virtual machine, all services are bringing to the cloud platform. When you know that, the one of the topic also called as Entra ID. So earlier we were calling as Azure Active Directory. So now that is Microsoft renamed to Entra ID. This is ultimately that is we are going to discussing on Azure Active Directory, Azure AD. Right. So when that object, when that user is come to an Azure Active Directory, what are the process, what are the authentications to be followed, and that is all we are going to talk about. And plus PowerShell, which is really needed for the automation, whatever this all technical skills we are discussing and would need for the needs to be how that is in no reporting point of view, automation point of view would need it. So let's begin to understand that to connect with this Entra ID, we would need for that on-prem AD, right? What is Active Directory? Why we need? Why we need?
Is
Anyone?
it for the directory services?
Yeah, it's a directory services, correct. So if you talk about technical definition or talk about an actual practical, why we need? Without Active Directory, can't we run our business?
Organize. Yeah, we can, but to organize in the groups,
Any
employees.
industry
Yeah,
without
yeah.
Active Directory, can we run the business?
It's to store the all the user data, everything in the database.
So saying store the all the users, or you can say users in the database.
Devices. Yeah.
Okay. Someone said it is a director services, right? The different meaning you are telling that. So ultimately the one, these are all articles, right? But actually, what is Active Directory? Now, I'll give a best example. We have, this is one of the private company, right? This is private company. This private company, does any persons can directly enter? You directly enter this organization. This is the organization, correct? And he is one of the user, or you can say person. Does these persons can directly enter this premises? Is it generic? Is a generic where we have seen that is in our day to day? Does he is able to enter the organization?
No, he needs permissions.
No. Just forget about position, technical word. Just I'm asking for the generic where we are we allowing to the inside this organization?
No.
No,
Who will stop?
like a security
Security.
guard.
Security. What he will ask?
ID.
ID.
Who you are. Okay. What you should show them. Okay. You are the unknown person trying to entering the organization without any identity proof. Immediately security will ask, hey, it looks like you are unknown person. So you, what he, if it doesn't, what he has to show? This person should show what he has to show. If he is a part of company employee, should have that ID
ID. Yeah.
badge. And if it doesn't have any ID, if he's not part of the organization, at least he should tell some reference. Until unless security doesn't agreed or security make sure that this person sees something known, then only allowed, right? This person is entering an organization that the security will ask you who you are. At least you should show some reference, right? At least who you are. If you doesn't show anything, can he allow to inside this premises? No, right? Either he is coming, you are coming for the interview. You should have that is in call letter, interview letter, right? He should tell that okay, this is scheduled today. That's something you need to tell. You should show us a reference of the identity, isn't it? And if he has that some reference or he has some ID, he allowed to inside that premises, does everything he has access? Does he can access everything, all the floors by default? Does he
No.
can able to access everything? No, right?
No.
And where he has access, which floor he has access, and that floor only he should be able to, isn't it? That is the actual process does here Active Directory. So Active Directory, what it is doing? It is just identity database. If you talk about actual technical word, it is Active Directory. It is a security network database which store or which is managed, that is in all the objects. What are the object? Users, groups, computers, organizational unit, policy, and there's a design. These are all objects storing in one place. They're designed such a way that you will be the one security boundary. You will be the one security boundary, and that is called as domain. The entire Active Directory, the designed such a way that start with the forest, start with the domain, start with the site, and start with the domain controller. Then you have an object. Like you have a country, you have a country, you have a state, and you have a district, and you have where you staying, that place name. If you talk about traditional, which is generic one, where we live, we should have identity. Yes or no? Everyone, which country they are staying, they must have that is in one identity. Yes or no?
Yes.
There are multiple
Yes.
identity we have it, but that multiple identity says that what it is. It means first identity shows who you are and which belongs to which place you are belongs to. Which identity it will tell you? Now, generic one again. Every person has identity. That ID card we have it. That ID card will tell you that is in. If I ask you that is in which country belongs to, which state belongs to, where is your actually original location? That all we have identity information, isn't it? We have in India, if you talk about, we have Aadhaar card, we have a PAN card, we have a driving license. These are all respective identity card, right? And we have passports. Why we need all the different type of IDs? Isn't it? Now again, why we have that is in wherever you need access, you must show the right identity allow the access. Wherever where you need access, right? We don't know that what kind of resource you are going to accessing, but you must show that right identity to get that all the access. Like if you are driving the car or bike and the traffic inspector is catch you and you cannot show them passport, You cannot show them Aadhaar card. What he will ask? What he will ask? What is identity he needed? Sorry?
Like a driver's license.
Driving license. That's a relevant identity. And that driving license has all the information which is transport related. And you are traveling to the one country to other country or domestic. And you cannot show their PAN card or you cannot show them Aadhaar card. What is needed? Mandatory identity.
Passport.
Passport. So the resource where you are going to accessing, you should show that is right identity and you'd be able to access. It's a traditional method where we are talking about here. Ultimately, the network, in the network, if any resource you are accessing, you need to tell who you are. And administrator can manage, depends on or belongs to which organization or belongs to which department, which location you are, accordingly permissions has been given. This is what actual Active Directories does. That's what we have in Active Directory. First, you need to create a user. That is we call as a domain user, isn't it? And the multiple users we wanted to provide a permissions. Those users we are creating a groups and added those multiple users here. Correct? Instead of the providing a single user permissions, we will be providing the access to the groups. And we have that every employee has a device, computer, and that device should be domain joined. We know that already, right? Everyone we use this in a day to day. And I hope everyone are working in the organizations. We never log in our own personal laptop or we never log in our local user. Are we? It's every user should be domain user and every computer is domain joined, isn't it? Organization where we belongs to employee, are we using our local computer or are we using any local user? It's obviously
No.
we have a domain user and the domain joined office domain joined computer, correct? Where we are logging with from the domain name, isn't it?
Yes.
The organization point of view, infrastructure point of view, we should know that this is the fundamental of Active Directory. Now, once you have this user created, and now that is user needed on permission. For example, you need a print server access. You need application access. You need a file server access. We do that, right? In our day-to-day activity, we need a print server. How do they give a print in application access? Does directly give to everyone has all the access? Whatever users you created, does everyone has all the access? Okay, default you will get the printer, you will get the application, file server, database.
No.
No, right? You would be able to get a permission, get access that relevant you are the user, right? The relevant you really need it. And that all approved one, yes, these users should have the print server access, these users should have application access. How do we manage it? So now we would be going to creating an organization unit. In the organization unit, we would be creating a location based name or department based name. Example, if we are the employees belongs to BLR or Bangalore, then we would be creating Bangalore is a OU, top level OU. And inside that we are going to talk about, or we are going to create, that is called IT. We are going to create a HR. We are going to creating finance. And the user would be created belongs to IT, say for example, BLR underscore IT underscore 001. It means you are this department user. Example, you would be creating HR 001. and you are using for. This is how the structure, right? If you know that in you already using an Active Directory, you might have see this kind of infrastructure, correct? And you are in a separate another location. You are in Chennai location, top level OU. This is the organization designed organization's infrastructure, right? Again, in a Chennai location, also you have the IT. Then you are going to creating CHN. The naming convention also you are following properly, right? CHN HR001 and CHN Finance. Then accordingly, you created the multiple OEs for the organization point of view, better administrative point of view. Then you have provide the permissions. Again, you are going to create a groups here for Bangalore team. If IT members, we need to provide a permissions, you should add the groups here, and you can add the groups here. And it's a better administration. You are designing such a way that, right, you cannot create all the users and computer for every wherever you need it. You need to proper design, right? You need to proper structure wise. In entire organizations, we have that is in multiple. To talk about here, we have that is an organization where we have the, it's a forest, it's a domain. In this domain, we have the location called BLR, example, one location. And we have here two domain controller. We have one more location. This is designed. This is actual practically, our actual infrastructure like this only. When you go and check the Active Directory point of view, right? And we have created all the BLR, whichever we talked about here, organization unit, right? We created in this location, all getting replicated here. And we have that is in CHN, right? And whoever needed any policy, the group policy you wanted to apply, you create a group policy and apply that is. And if the policy really needed for the Bangalore OUs or IT or entire domain, this is how that is in our organization structure is designed, right? If you talk about the group policy, the group policy cannot be applied everyone. Depends on the requirement, depends on the access, allow, access denied. We are going to managing with the help of group policies. And that group policy you created, whom is going to be applied, that policy is needed everyone. Then policy should be applied for the domain, entire domain, and policy should be applied to the specific department, specific location, and those OU should be policy applied. And this is how the organization design, and this is how the operations activity happening in the on-prem Active Directory, isn't it? Now that is come to the picture cloud. Now we have the cloud here, which is Azure infrastructure. Why we need to have the Azure, right? Now Azure has that is in here Entra ID, the one service called as Entra ID. The service called as Entra ID, and you would be going to accessing here Entra ID. Now, what is the difference here? In this infrastructure, do we need internet? It's completely isolated in private network, isn't it? Do we need internet to
No,
create Active Directory? You don't need it. This entire is isolated network in private network. There is no connection. It is internet. Active Directory infrastructure. But in Entra ID, it is needed for your internet, right? The first things. Internally, Active Directory There is a separate authentication protocol we are using with a highly secure processing and validated that protocol we are using, that is called Kerberos. Correct? Technically, we are talking about. Now, why we need Entra ID? Why we need Azure? Why? Because now when you talk about that is before you talk about the Entra ID, let's talk about the Azure. Why we need Azure? So this is all we are handling entire on-premises infrastructure, which is we need a data center. We need a physical data center. We would need servers. We would need a network. We would need a storage. We would need operating system, licenses. What else? Maintenance, labor, support, everything. It's a huge expensive, isn't it? In an on-prem infrastructure, not only Active Directory, on-prem infrastructure, we wanted to manage our IT infra. We need to invest huge money. Basically, we need a place for the data center. And that data center, you need to deploy with the physically all device you need to bring it, right? First, you need to do all this hardware part. Hardware you need to purchase, network has to purchase, operating system, license, everything you need to do that. And you know that is an initial how much cost it be involved, correct? Now the Microsoft come to the picture here. He said across worldwide, I have done everything, I have invested so many things. On behalf of you, I have created own data center. And tell me that in this infrastructure on premises, what you are using? You are using for Active Directory, you are using application, you are using operating system, you are using database for your organization. And you are going to do everything and huge cost. Every month, if you take that is an expensive, huge cost. But Microsoft, what is saying? You take what you needed, but platform I'm giving you to that is in everything. Don't invest single rupees, and also pay as you go, or whatever you're going to use, you can pay me. It's a huge reducer in expensive. You don't need to have the data center. You don't need to have any hardware. You don't need to have any operating system license. You don't need to have anything. You just use what you needed service. Do we need any maintenance? Something we wanted to upgrade some immediately next. That is the hardware was not compatibility. We need to immediately upgrade it. No, we need to migrate that operating system which is not supporting these applications. No, we don't have. This is all headache we have, that is in every day, every month we are day-to-day operations we are handling. And the most important, there is a lacking for it is not 100% availability or 100% service. It is some other way we don't have that 100% availability service. It is there will be that is in outage. But Microsoft say that is in 99.99% all the time is available, isn't it? You tell that is in your service will be all the time available. That is will Microsoft will be taken care. Now the advantages and benefits, and also more important here, that is in might be compromising security, but it is if you have a dedicated network, you will have the good network, but still it is in some time compromising that Microsoft has implemented many areas in security. In that, one of the service called as Active Directory. We have a on-prem Active Directory. Why should I go with the Azure Active Directory? Now that is in I have one application, right? You have application here. In organizations, you have applications. Earlier, how we are using? There are multiple applications, right? Applications and other services or other resources. What is happening here? We would be that user will be in Active Directory, and we need to provide access to the user. And what user will do that? User will provide his username and password, correct? And he should get access. Now internally, within a network, within organizations, we have the 20 application. Earlier, we were using for that all these 20 applications or other services. He has to be remember 20 user and your password. It's very difficult, isn't it? Yes or no? 20 username. This is what we were used earlier. And very difficult to remember this user, something that different naming conversation they are giving the username and password. You should keep that. Now the Microsoft has put into that ADFS part. Hey, this is all challenging happening now. What is that actually we needed? Let single username and password can access multiple applications. What is this called as? What is this called as? SSO. Single sign-on. Now the ADFS is bought in this concept. Federation is going to do that. This is all again you have that metadata, okay, which is claim aware applications, relying party. All the technical words are there. When you configure the ADFS, this persons will validate identity, and once it is provide the access, and you can able to that all applications are onboarded into the ADFS and is helping you to single username and password to access with the help of SSO. Now the picture is that applications is an outside organization, correct? This is all we talked about inside and outside organization. Now again this ADFS will come to the picture. Now we got some certificate authority. All this is come to the picture. Now Microsoft has slowly developing or slowly improving their services, which is Azure. They told that is in we will provide all the services and all. It's slowly people are moving to the cloud. Now these applications are already be on premises. Even applications also in on premises. What Microsoft did it, don't deploy your applications and on premises and have a lot of problems. Now what he did, let's go to the cloud based application with the SSO. Have you heard about this? Do we have the currently in organization we are using all the cloud based applications? Whatever currently we are using, maximum applications are cloud based applications. Agreed or not? Yes or no?
Yeah.
What is the first cloud based application?
Intune.
Sorry?
Intune.
Intune is not an application. It is a providing and managing for your deployment part. Intune is a service helping you to that. I can say the Office 65.
Okay.
You know that everyone using Office 65, right? What is Office 65 here? What it does? What is Office 65, guys?
Yeah, mail service.
Right,
Exchange
obviously
and
it is a mail, right? You are going to use the mails. Earlier, what is that service we are using with before Office 65?
Microsoft Exchange. I think.
Outlook, Exchange Server.
Outlook.
Exchange Server on premises. This has to be built on prem, isn't it? And we are using the Outlook, and you have to do all the exercise and making sure that is you should be able to handle that. What Microsoft has did it, okay? There is a lot of changes happening in the on-prem. Let's build this entire infra into the cloud. That is, he bought the Office 65, which handle that is in mails. But now this application in where it is in cloud, then how to provide access on-prem end user? And not only Office 65, there are many, as of now currently, you know that everyone, many applications are what? In cloud. You know that many applications, maximum 80 to 90% are applications coming to the cloud. You know that is in our Office product, like you say, talk about ServiceNow. These applications are earlier onboarded to ADFS on premises. Now slowly this is a little complicated. You have to verify this is all the token, verify that is in all the configuration, metadata, everything. But it is complicated investment, all point of and security point of view also. It is good verify this security point of, but it's a huge labor maintenance, highly expensive. What Microsoft did it, let's bring to the entire from the ADFS to the cloud. Let's build all the application on-prem applications to onboarding to the Azure. Then what are the prerequisites I should follow as a cloud point of view? Now I have a user, couple of users are an on-prem AD user, then I have user for the in a cloud. Then how do you manage? That is Microsoft has bought the concept called as a hybrid service. What do you mean by hybrid service here? Still we are in a hybrid service. Slowly it is moving to that. It is drastically, if you comparatively change for the last year, other last year, people are completely moving to the cloud. But still we have a service is not completely in a cloud based, and it is going to do very soon, very shortly, right? Another next 5 years, there is no more on-prem infrastructure. Everything is going to be in a cloud. Yeah. Go ahead.
The ADFS is a federated services, right? It's not
Right.
on-prem. So it is basically used for
You build ADFS where you build.
it is built on on-premise
Huh.
to have the what I'm trying to say is these two ADFS is used to connect your Active Directory to the Exchange services and all that
Correct.
stuff, right?
Correct.
So, correct me if I'm wrong.
Correct.
But it's
Correct.
not a Exchange or something.
No,
Right?
no.
It
See,
is to build the authentication part. I
correct.
was confused, so just want to
See,
get
ultimately authentications you need it, but where do you build before? Forget about Azure part now. Where do you build? Where do you process all these things?
It is on-premise.
On-prem plus, and obviously
So
we need.
ADFS came into picture whenever the cloud has been grown and everything, right? So prior to that, it was a different concept.
No. ADFS before coming to the cloud grown, it was 2003 only they built ADFS. Why? Because we had a lot of challenges for the authentication. Now what's happening here? Now you have one organization, right? You have one organization. What was happening here earlier? I'll tell you. This is my organization and other organization example. Within the organization, there's no problem because you need to keep that all the username and password, individually. Now that ADFS is you put internally, it is helping you. But this organization user, the one organization's user want to log in, want to access for that other organization's application. What you will do here? This is already in another on-premises, and we need authentications, right? But what they did it earlier, they did a trust between these two organizations, and the trust created, but is a lot of challenges because of application accessing. Why should I give the entire access to these people? This was there earlier infra 2003 environment.
Yeah,
2000.
yeah, got it.
But now,
Correct.
if you do this, do you need really trust between these two infra organization?
Not required.
Not required.
The
Then what
ADFS
is
will
the
handle that.
exactly? Now the ADFS comes to the picture. This entire is there. Where is the cloud here? Do we have cloud using here?
No. Yeah.
Authentications we would need it. Authentication needed. No, I don't want to have that create a trust between these two organizations because we need to manage such a way that We need to provide them the securely access, and what access he needed, let him take it. That's all. So hence that ADFS concept has brought the picture. Now the ADFS is an on-prem only. Now later when you talk about SSO and all, later this applications point of view, why I need to put that application to the ADFS? Let's bring into the cloud. That is what you have in all the options in. If you go to the portal.azure.com, that's what you need to understand here. We would be able to see this. Go to the Entra ID or they're all services which we talked about now, right? If you see this, and when you go to the services here, I feel might be you guys know this is entire, how the Azure portal and all. If you don't know that, I'll try to take you one extra class. When you go to the Entra ID, you would be able to see that everything is the service called applications, onboarding, and these are all terminology we are going to discuss on this part. Getting my point? You see the enterprise applications, and you wanted to onboarding that is, these are all we already using for this, right? And if you see this application app registration, so now that is Microsoft suggested, okay, I am bringing to the application to the cloud, but what about the access? What about the security? What about the authentication? All I have to take care. That is what you are going to learn. Enter ID. You see here, this is the life now, upcoming days. This is the life, and this is a technical skill we would be needed. We need to understand. We understood that what was the challenges in a organization point of view, technology point of view, where we were Active Directory, how we were using, what were the challenges in terms of the cost, in terms of the service, in terms of the security. Now the solution is coming here from Microsoft, is slowly growing like anything, and they are completely stable now in the cloud. Microsoft Azure you are using, and your applications you are using on the cloud. Now we need to think about how securely we are going to provide access. Then we need to understand Microsoft Entra ID. The Microsoft Entra ID is everything moving to the cloud. That all the users, as I said, we have that. How to provide access on-prem AD user for this many applications. Now we call as a hybrid services. Now Microsoft has that feature. You can connect on-prem AD to Azure Active Directory. Yes or no? You can connect on-prem AD to Azure AD. That is what we use for Azure AD Connect.
Yes.
And we would be having for the syncing on-prem AD user to Azure AD user. Then that user must be exist into the cloud. Now you provide the permission to the application. But again, you need to talk about the license. You cannot provide directly if the user is syncing to the AD, and that license must be assigned. Is it understanding here? Now that is in, I don't want to do this kind of, now let bring all the users in cloud only. Now your headache down. It is drastic. Now it is going to the drastically changing. Now that is, trust me guys, very soon, shortly, another 2 or 3 years, every infrastructure is moving to the cloud. Now we are into this picture. We have to learn. There's two things only you need to keep in mind for the career point of view, the upcoming year. But the whatever you're going to learn, but you should have a strong knowledge is on-prem. That is a very much needed. Who know that on-prem AD infrastructure or on-prem, not only AD, on-prem environment, he can easy to manage. But nowadays we would be needed the skill for the career point of view, cloud plus security plus automation. You need to think about and accordingly plan your career and upskill yourself. This is the only life, and thinking all the business point of view, organizations point of view, what they're looking for. First part is reduce the first part is you need to implement automation. Once you implemented automation, you need to think about how the optimization. Obviously these two implemented, then you reduce the cost. That's all. This is the life we are going to handle it. This is what every organization, business point of view, we need to think about. How our resource is smart. He knows the skill and how he's making the automation, because every platform, you need to just make sure how you things to automate, reduce the manual work, reduce the human error, reduce the repeated work. And then the moment you make the automation, you know that how to optimize the things. If the two are effectively running, obviously it is a business point of view, organization point of view, it is automatically affected. It is not like earlier we were using, have a one project, hire the 10 resources. No, the persons we are going to hiring, he should know the on-prem AD, he should know that Azure, he should know that is an application onboarding, he should know that is all the aspect he should be. If you know that, if I'm talking about from the start to here, what are the technology we discussed? We touch with multiple things, correct? This is the life is going to happen now very shortly, but you should know that is in who are part of the Microsoft Server Administrator Active Directory. This is what we need to plan your career, which I told you. This.
Yeah, but I don't have any prior AD experience, so
No
I
worries. That's what we need to learn, sir. We need to learn. I will help you to the learn. That is the mandate to learn. I'll make you that. Don't worry. I'll build a lab and I'll show you everything in depth. We will build the Active Directory infrastructure first, and we'll talk about what is the current situation. Earlier was situation. Now how we are going to move to the cloud, right? And then this reality, you need to understand that why I'm going to this. You see this first introduction to Microsoft. What is this? You see, business partner, external user, you have that organization, workforce and business partner applications. When you talk about fundamental part, now external user and isolated access, business partner access, Microsoft Entra ID governance, Microsoft Entra. Now you have that connectivity here. Now see the business partner applications, isolated access. What are uses organization? This is again for how you're going to be service boarding here. Now, what is Entra ID? Azure Active Directory versus Active Directory Domain Services, Cloud Identity On-Prem Active Directory, Entra ID editions where we have a licenses, core component terminology and tenant concept. And you would be understanding completely Entra ID, where you need to know that my Azure portal, when you go to this, your Entra ID, right? You are in Entra ID here. You should know that is what is your default directory and what is your license here, and what are the users you are going to creating. When you try to creating users, what is the domain you are going to? These are all domain user, right? If you create a user, you would be able to see this. And what you mean by this external user, when do we using? When you click on the user, create a user, you just click on add. You see invite external user. What do you mean by that? You might have some basic fundamental, but I'll make sure that again you should be able to understand that actual what we needed, right? New user, you see, create a new user, invite an external user. The moment you click a new user, you should be providing your username, all these things. Your identity is created in your cloud. Now, once you created your identity, what are service you need to be provided? We will be going to talk about this hybrid part, right? Versus Active Directory domain services. What is the authentication protocol? Now the authentication is going to happening. How this authentication happening? You see this? You have the external apps or app or services. You are the Azure Active Directory. Now, what are the internal component we are going to use it to get that access? Authentication using OAuth, what do you mean by OAuth? What kind of protocol we are using, right? Validate user. Now you can first that external user trying to accessing to the your Azure cloud services, you see. And the first is authentication is going to happening here. Once it is authentication happen, either it is going to be Entra ID or you can go to the HTTPS request in the browser based, right? And the second and third one is communicate happening with this is API management and Entra ID, which is Azure Active Directory. The validate the access has to be provided. Validate the access token from the caller. Obtain the access token from the backend app. Either you can access through the browser, either you can access through the Azure Active Directory. Now, once this authentication happen, how you are going to be access for authentication using managed identity, where we have the other component called logic app and with request trigger. Now your request will be granted. And this part is going to be understanding very deeply. So once you know that, it's a highly secure we are going to be happening. This is what This is what we need to understand that, right? So what is the multi-factor authentication? What is the passwordless authentication? As I said, single sign-on when we're talking about this all comes under. Now the on-premises user, you are going to connecting to the Azure Entra ID applications. There is a password method we are using. What is the password has synchronization, password through authentication, PTA. These are all have that configuration part during deployment and the federation services, which we're talking about federation. Now it is integrated. Earlier it was not there, right? And earlier is only for password has synchronization. Now they are implemented pass-through authentication. And what is the difference between of these two? Security point of view, which authentications I should follow, that we'll be talking about in detail. Getting my point? You know that is currently some resource accessing. How we are accessing resource or our office environment? Do we have that is in your mobile app, authenticator app, Okta app? Do we have it?
Yeah.
Everyone. How is actually designing? How they actually implement it? This is all correct. You see application, and when you talk about users and group devices, we have to bring into that all the users and computer in cloud. These are all domain joined. Which operating system they are using, what is the version it is, everything we can see in this cloud. We were talking about user life management. If the person sees in, yeah, Karthik.
Yes, sir. I observed one more thing also with respect to Microsoft Authenticator,
Mm-hmm.
as you mentioned. Once I tried with, switching off the internet over my phone,
Mm.
and I entered the password or authenticated with the key.
Mm.
Still, it's work. How it is working, even if
Caching,
there is no
caching
internet.
is there, and cache is there, and you have that already. Technically, if you talk about, we need to. Now you are using from on-premises to Azure application access. You said that is the internet uh, is not connected. Still, you are accessing.
Yeah.
Is that what is your resource you are trying to access and how you are accessing?
Yes, I'm logging into the Azure portal,
Okay.
okay, which is on the cloud. Okay, we
Mm.
don't have any on-prem ID.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is on the cloud.
Mm.
So my authentication was set up over the Microsoft Authenticator app.
Mm. Correct.
So when I logged in, I just tried with
Where do you log in? Where do you log in?
the just Outlook.
Okay. It is which applications you're talking about in Office 65?
Yes.
Okay. Take in the laptop, in Office laptop.
Yes.
Okay. You are giving them the URL and you're trying to accessing, and it is asking to the authentication process. And in Okta or your Microsoft Authenticator, you got the code
Yes.
and is authenticating that it's asking that code, and you are providing that code, you're accessing.
Yes.
What is the issue now? What is that question actually?
Now the question is, that authenticator was installed on my phone.
Phone, correct.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I switch off the internet, so there is no internet connectivity for my phone.
Mm.
Still, that Microsoft Authenticator is giving me the code.
Hmm.
Okay, I thought it will not sync because my phone is not over the internet.
Hmm.
But still, I given the code and still it worked. So how it is working in the backend?
Very good question. So Microsoft authentication, how it works basically?
It checks the code of from the authenticator code, checks in the backend whether the token is valid or for that
Hmm.
particular time period, 30 seconds or 60 seconds.
Hmm.
For every 30 seconds or 60 seconds, it keeps on changing the code. So it will authenticate with that code, as far
Okay.
as I know.
So in organizations might be they have provided. See, basically it is a time based. Okay, one time password where you're going to give, right? How long is going to be providing here? Even your data is not available, it should be going to be. So ultimately, that is what code you are generated. We call as a what generating one time based, or you can say time based. Especially, what you mean by OTP?
One time password.
One
It
time
valid for
password
that particular time
time,
period.
right? And that is a configuration is by default it designed inside that is MFA. Getting?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So detailed, I'll tell you that later how it works inside that. Okay.
Sure.
The OTP all generate configurations part. We have to set up all the informations. You will come to that. These are all when you are this, we are not implementing the MFA backend, right? But we will be accessing only for MFA app. When you go to this, that basically when you talk about how it works offline, that is a developing part. How time-based code your code has generated. At least it will tell you that every 30 second or it is mathematical algorithm inside. Okay, and there is secret shared would be created, and whatever the MFA generated that code, it will be valid till 30 seconds. Something automatically get generated. Another one, correct?
Yeah.
And if you don't need to network in this, there is a backend that code has developed, or it is something connected, which is helping multi-factor authentications.
Hmm.
Where you don't even forget about internet.
Hmm.
You don't have in a signal also phone.
Okay.
It still works that MFA. I mean multi-factor.
Okay.
You're getting two things here.
Yeah.
Even internet is anyway, it is, but still your data, your cellular, your SIM card, even your
Hmm.
SIM card is also not there, your application should work. There's no
Because that is
network.
a algorithm running in both the side.
Correct. That is a process happening, which is developing part.
Yeah.
That is, you need to design such a way that what is the syncing, how do you syncing, how the notification should be send it, where you are developing that MFA, which is talked about.
Okay.
Good to go.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank
So
you.
this is all we are going to talk about in the access management. Ultimately, you need to concentrate for you are the product on cloud and applications or any resources, how you are securely providing that user. There are a lot of process to be involved. Authentication protocol. Now we talk about guest. Other one is the business to business, business to consumer. What are the things we need to be involved in this? We need to talk about what kind of token. You see this device type is Azure AD join and hybrid Azure join, which we talked about, isn't it? That person is belongs to an on-prem, that person is belongs to Azure. How do you provide it? So what are the things we need to handle it? And in Azure, you might have heard about with role-based access control, all the permissions and privileged access, right? These are all, and we can provide that is in our Azure resources only time-based access. Only just he will not give access for that long time or high privileged access. I'll assign him to the only limitation. And also we have a conditional access based on the location, based on the department. You can provide this all the Azure's access and a customized providing the access with the help of your conditional access. And there is a which we talked about multi-factor. You see this second authentication method. You will be going to, this is all you are going to signal. See this user locations, device, applications, real time, and verify every access attempt. Right. This is in this we'll be talking about pre-user MFA and conditional access, authenticator, SMS voice, number matching, MFA. This designing for your applications point of view and how the access is going to work. You have the Microsoft Azure Active Directory and your actual on-prem Active Directory, how is connecting, how the process. These are all in detail we are going to discussing. Now we'll be talking what is the SAML, what is the Open ID, what is OAuth. We'll discuss enterprise application app registration, right? And ultimately we'll talk about some protection advanced security, which we need to enable the license and reporting part. If you completed this course, right, you have strong knowledge on security point of view and Entra ID point of view will be getting is in depth. You're going to you're going to understanding here in a not only your organizations, your external user, and how do you provide it. Right now we will have that is in other customer or other company, how we wanted to connect with them to from our organizations to provide the access, right? And all we need to talk about later, how do you monitoring and securing and the logs and all, we'll discuss all this. This file I'm going to share you later, where we are going to talk about our day-to-day activity, our day-to-day, upcoming classes when you're going to start it. If you really like today's session, then you can get registered. So as put into some PowerShell also, we'll be having this knowledge. We'll talk about this real scenario and all, MFA, how it works and all these things.
What about application onboarding and SSO?
Yes, we'll talk about those. Is a part of application registration. Okay. Please contact for the timing and fees detail. Person name called as Amit, and he will help you. And if you are like today's session, then we can talk about further discussion. Hope you
Sure,
got some
thanks.
information. You got some clarity where to start and how to start it, at least.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. This is a number here, 95406 62806. Please connect with him and ask him the timing and all. He will help you. I'm just facilitating for the training. 95406 2806. His name is Amit. That's it from my side, guys. I hope at least you got the clarity what needs to be done. Then you plan accordingly, and you would be getting the more skill on this. And confidently, I'll tell you that is whatever knowledge you have in on-prem infrastructure, you want to have a clarity more on to the cloud related again. And this is the journey. This is the life now, upcoming days. Good to go.
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
Thanks.
guys. Take care. Happy weekend, and let's connect if I really joined. Okay. Take
Sir,
care.
can you show the number once again, please?
Okay, 1 second. Nine 95066
95066.
Let me ping in the chat.
Yeah, please. Thank you.
Okay, take care, guys. Bye.